Hey guys, it's another beautiful day in Salt Lake City, Utah. Found this awesome park with a big lake. Just cruising around, checking out the new Magnum Classic 48. 48 is talking about that 48 volt, 13 amp hour battery, and we've got a nice 500 watt Bafang planetary geared hub motor, peaks around 700 watts, 80 Newton meters of torque, and quite capable in these 20-inch wheels. But I love the tires they've gone with here. They're 2.125, a little bit wider, give you some balance. They're a little bit thicker as well, and I'm told that they're like Kevlar lined for some puncture resistance, and they have reflective sidewall stripes. Gotta love that, especially when you've got a black bike. This bike comes in black and blue, got a little bit of wind going on, as well as black and white. So step through, like this nice wave design. And then over here, this one is the Premium X. Okay, so it's a little bit different. See how it's got the magnesium wheels? They're a little bit sturdier compared to spokes, although those are 12 gauge spokes. They're very thick, very capable. This one also has a little bit of an upgrade on the saddle, some hydraulic brakes, but they're fairly comparable. And I just wanted to show you this so you could see what the high step looks like, because they both come in these two different frame styles. I'm a big fan of the step through. It's just very easy to approach, super low standover height like that. Just super easy to stand over. You might be someone who is carrying around some cargo, some groceries. They've got this rack with a bungee latch at the bottom here, and then this spring latch up top. Maximum weight 27 kilograms, so that's like 59.5 pounds. That's a little bit above average. Most racks I see are 55 pounds or 25 kilograms, so that's nice. And I was talking about the reflective sidewalls and visibility. They also have lights, so these are not integrated. They use independent AA batteries, so 2 for the rear one, 2 for the front one. You can see that little switch right there. Click it on, got a couple LEDs and a nice big reflective surface. That's important to me, especially on a lower bike like this. These 20-inch wheels, they bring the bike kind of closer to the ground. It's approachable. They give the motor a mechanical advantage. They tend to be stronger, the wheels, because the spokes don't have to be as long. But yeah, you are just sitting a little bit lower, and so if you're riding with traffic and stuff, you do want to be seen, you know, be safe. So here's the front headlight. It's got the little click button, single LED, kind of aim it forward or back a little bit. It is mounted to the arch on the suspension fork, so it could bounce up and down a little bit more. It'd be nice if this was like up here and integrated, running off that nice high capacity battery pack, but you know, the price and stuff. So this is $15.99, pretty decent price point in my opinion, especially considering it has like the aluminum alloy fenders, the big battery pack, a suspension seat post with this flip up saddle clamp. See right there? Very nice. You're going to be able to get the battery off a lot easier. And the battery even has a little USB charging port built in. So if you did have an aftermarket light, you could run your own USB cable. It's a long way to go, but maybe in the rear, or you could have something in a trunk bag and be charging it while you're riding. That would be pretty cool. Here's the charger for the bike. It's about 1.5 pounds and it's 2 amps. So it's not the fastest. It's kind of generic, I guess. It, you know, gets the job done, and it has this nice metal end point, which is great because if you drop it or if it gets stepped on, it's not as vulnerable as plastic. And that's going to plug in right here on the battery pack. See that? Very nice. Got a little cover, and then the ignition right here. So you kind of push this in and twist to unlock it, and then you could slide the battery up and out like that. Want to be careful with those pins down there. Don't want to pinch your fingers or anything. The battery weighs about 9.4 pounds. And you do have to leave that key in when riding. So you turn it to on, and that's what allows you to activate the display panel. Not a huge deal. I often don't have a keychain connected to it when I leave the key in like this, because it'd be jingling around, you know, and kind of potentially even snagging on your pants or something as you're pedaling, or your skirt. If you got this and you wear those types of clothing, it's not my favorite. I like to be able to pull out the key. You can imagine like running into the store, you take that to the off position. Now you take this with you, but it's not on a keychain, so you don't want to lose that. That's one of the trade-offs. This is called a Silverfish battery pack. That's the design right here, and they're pretty common. They've been around the industry for a long time. They've become a bit more affordable, easier to repair or repack, but Magnum does sell replacement battery packs. I think it's $5.50 for that one right there. And part of the reason it's a little bit more affordable is because the controller is down here in this metal box at the bottom. So they also sell a 48 volt, 14 amp hour and a 16 amp hour. And I think those are like $575 and $650 or something like that consecutively. The prices variable depending on the accessories that you get on this, and primarily that battery pack. The bike is really fully loaded. Even though the suspension fork is a little bit, or the suspension seat post is a little bit basic here, it's only 40 millimeters of travel, it is nice, and combined with the rubber bumpers and the tires and that suspension fork, also pretty basic, doesn't have lockout or preload adjust, it just sort of is what it is. It's still a complete package, and they sell these at dealers nationwide in the US, Canada, they have some dealers in New Zealand and Israel, so these guys are global, they've been around for a while. Last time I reviewed this bike was like 4 or 5 years ago, and they had a 350 watt motor and 36 volt battery. So again, 548. So we're getting a lot more power, higher capacity, and it's a really punchy bike. This is actually a speed pedelec. It can go up to about 25 miles per hour in pedal assist mode. It also has a throttle, and the throttle gives you full power at any level of assist, even 0. So it's kind of like a little scooter that way if you want. That only goes to 20 miles per hour. And on a folding bike, especially with those smaller wheels, I mean, you really feel like you're zipping at 20 or 25 miles per hour. It's kind of nice though if you're someone who's commuting to work, you want to keep up with traffic, and you know, maybe just have a little fun with it. It actually felt pretty stable on the way here as I was riding, and a part of that is we've got these a little bit larger folding platform pedals. They are just plastic. I've seen aluminum alloy ones, which would maybe add to the weight, add to the cost. So they've been real strategic and tried to pick things that fit this bike. 52 tooth chainring up here with a nice alloy guide, so the chain's not going to come off. Also, it's going to protect your pants or skirt again, which is nice. 52 teeth, a little bit bigger than their other full-size electric bikes, which have 48 tooth chain rings, and that's because the bigger size is going to balance out the wheels, give you a nice relaxed cadence, very natural feeling. 165 millimeter crank arms instead of 170, so they've set this up correctly as a folding bike. It's not like they just slapped a bunch of parts on here. They got the right parts. And then back here, it's a pretty standard, maybe even entry-level cassette and derailleur. Shimano, this is Tourney, it's the base level. It does have a barrel adjuster here though that you can finger adjust, so you kind of turn to the left, and that's going to stretch out this housing over time, which is going to match cable stretch, which does happen as you ride. I love that they've got a steel derailleur guard. It's going to protect the power cable for the motor as well as that derailleur. Very important on a folding bike, because you can imagine folding this down and throwing it in the back of a car or a bus or something like that, and these are the sensitive bits, so it's nice that they protect those. Also nice that they got rubber mud flaps at the end of these fenders, just in case they get bumped during folding or pedaling, because it's a more compact ride. On this side, you can see this very nice sealed cadence sensor, 12 magnets. It's a lot more durable than the old ones with the big disc and the magnets kind of visibly showing. It's nice. It works really well. It's pretty responsive. And then back here, you can see our mechanical disc brakes. So we've got 160 millimeter rotors, front and rear. Nice big Tektro 4-finger levers with the integrated bell and motor inhibitor on both the front, or the left and the right, the front and the back. Some of their other bikes, I noticed, they only had the motor inhibitor on the left brake lever, so I'm glad that they've got it on both here. It's nice to be able to feel like you're in control, especially with a smaller platform like this. So I feel like everything on this bike is dialed in, and especially for the price point. So again, $15.99 versus $20.49 over here. We got the hydraulic disc brakes, and you can see, what was I trying to point out? Very similar battery. I think they're actually interchangeable. But there we go, zoom in. These are dual piston calipers. Some of the cables are integrated. A lot of the bike is very similar, but I noticed that this one has an external bell instead of the integrated one, because the brake levers don't have that for hydraulic disc brakes. As far as I've seen, it's kind of a rare thing. Also has motor inhibitors. So those are some of the trade-offs, like just looking between these two bikes. And I think they even share the same charger. So you could get maybe like a his and hers, or a more affordable one, more expensive one for the person that rides more. In a way though, you're not going to have to pull as hard on hydraulic disc brakes, and they've got that adjustable reach here, so that you can really dial these in if you have smaller hands or you're just not as strong. So that's one reason why it might be worth spending a little bit more money. And then these rims, they're going to support a little bit more weight. These brakes, or suspension design, also does have preload. So if you're someone who's a little bit heavier, those rims and that preload, you preload that spring, and so it's not going to just be like bottoming out on you and feeling really soft and squishy, which this one might. I mean, it feels good to me. I'm 135 pounds, but someone who's a little bit bigger, that there's not as much adjustability. There is some adjustability By the way, this is 27.2 millimeter seat post. If you pull it all the way out, it's 400 millimeters long, which is great. A lot of seat posts are just 300 or 350, so they're giving you a lot of extra height to work with. And there's a telescoping stem up here, so like 120 millimeters of height adjustment on that, really nice. And then 400 millimeters back here. In the bottom of the post, there's a bolt, and you can actually loosen or tighten it, and so that's preload as well. So you can preload the spring. It's kind of a basic suspension seat post. I mean, there are other ones out there, and in fact Thudbuster has a long, I think it's like a large size, and I think it comes in 27.2 as well, but it's a lot more comfortable. There's an elastomer in there instead of just kind of a spring design. So I would consider putting some money into those things, but it really depends on how far you're riding, and you can do a lot with the tire pressure, just lowering the pressure and kind of creating some comfort that way. So I've got Alec here. He's from Magnum, and I was going to ask him to do a folding example on this bike. So just go right for it, man. I think first thing you do is the pedals.
Yeah, we'll fold those pedals in.
Okay.
Next thing I'll do is I'll make sure that my handlebars are folded up so I can easily grab and fold.
Okay.
Little lever here. I want to release that, swing it out, and pull up on it.
So that's an extra level of security and safety. We have to kind of pull it up.
Right.
It's great.
Swing that around.
Huh, look, there's a spring in there.
And we'll want to kick that kickstand up.
Great job. Huh, okay, great. We were back at the shop and we folded this up, and I did some measurements. I took some pictures so that you can get an idea of whether this would fit into your closet or your garage or something, but that's nice. And about 57.2 pounds is what we weighed this at, like as shown with all those accessories. So for me, this is like fairly complete. Maybe. Okay, one thing we did was extend the stem like pretty high up, maybe not all the way, because see, as you turn, these cables start to stretch a little bit. So you want to make sure there is a minimum insertion point. We're actually a little bit beyond it right now, but I just wanted to show you what this looks like at its highest its highest setting. And same thing with the seat post here. It's relatively high, so even if you're someone who's very tall, your reach is going to be a little bit short, but at least your pedal strokes are going to give you like maximum extension, which is going to add to the comfort. So back here at the battery, we've turned it to on. Press the power button right here. We got the C6 display. This is one of their nicer displays, so it's pretty big. It's centrally mounted. You can see a little bit of scratching happening just on that plastic film, just from folding it and stuff. So this is potentially vulnerable. It's not removable. There's no USB ports on it or anything, but it does swivel to reduce glare, which can be really important on a sunny day like this. Power, we have 6 ticks. Pedal assist, it always starts in 1, and the throttle is hot. So if I bump that right now, maybe I'm folding or unfolding it, that motor is going to kick on, and that could be a little bit dangerous. So I recommend getting on the bike before you turn the display on. Speed in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. Odometer, timer, trip, and trip 2. Just press the set button here to cycle through those. Battery management system, it's at 52 volts right now. It's like super full. 5 ticks on that infographic. So each tick is like 20% step. It'd be nice if that was like 10 ticks or maybe a percentage readout, but again, that's just kind of what they're working with here. This is DOS kit hardware, and you can see that label right here on the really small trigger throttle. I really like that because it's not pushing the brake levers too far in. And then we've got that grip shifter, which is nice for someone who might not be as familiar with trigger shifters. It's really easy to understand. Ergonomic grips, not locking, but they are pretty comfortable, and they match the saddle and everything. So, we still got some pedals here that we're gonna unfold. And then I want to point out that based on where the kickstand is, you can get pedal lock, which is where if you're backing the bike out from a garage or something like this. I feel like this is a pretty well balanced bike. It's using a lot of proven technology. I like that they've got the colored rims and everything too. All in all, I mean, it's a pretty nice setup here. I think there's a couple more settings. If I hold the minus key, we can get walk mode going like that, which is going to be useful if you get a flat tire or maybe you're walking through a park and you've got a heavy load on the back. If you hold the plus button, you get backlighting on the display, but again, it does not control those lights, so make sure you turn those on and off manually each time you ride. Try not to forget. If you hold plus and minus, there's kind of a password that comes up, and your dealer can help you with that, but basically it's going to let you adjust the top speed. You can actually lower it, so someone who feels like, oh, I don't want to go too fast on a folding bike, I want to stop at 15 miles per hour, you can do that. You could also completely remove that trigger throttle and turn this into a class 2, or a class 1, I'm sorry, because with no throttle, it becomes class 1 if you lower the top speed. So I categorize this as like class 2 and class 3 on the website because it's sort of flexible in how you set it up. I think that's about it. I'm gonna hop on this thing. Love that little bell, and do a little ride down here. I noticed that on some of their bikes you can press minus and it goes all the way around, but this one isn't doing that for some reason. So I'm gonna press the plus button all the way up to 6. Could be a little bit precarious, but I'm gonna go down to that sidewalk and show you guys just how powerful this thing is. There we go. You know, a little bit of jiggling going on here because of that key and stuff. But the fenders are pretty quiet, and the ride is pretty comfortable, you know, for a folding bike especially. These smaller tires have a higher attack angle, so instead of spanning over cracks and sort of smoothly rolling over big ruts and stuff, they kind of bang into them, and it's a little bit bumpier in that case. Let's go off-road again here. There we go. Handling those ruts like a champ. And we're gonna do a little hill climb test here, because with the motor in that smaller wheel, you do get the mechanical advantage. So here's a hill. Again, I'm 135 pounds. And we made it. Barely made it up that hill. I took it at a bit of an angle, but not bad, like pure throttle. And that's probably not possible with their older motor design. So kind of neat to see this thing. Thanks for coming out with me. Alec, do you mind maybe hopping on this one and I'll hop on the other one? Let people see back to back. There we go. And then this one is set to on. See, that's the keychain thing, so you might hear that jingling around when we ride. There we go. We could just go down on that sidewalk. Take this, let's see here. Yeah, see, this one goes around. It's the same display, but when I pressed minus, it went from 0 all the way to 6. So maybe the software on that one's out of date or something. Just gonna go on the other side here, the sun. Looking good. Sounds like we might have a fender rubbing on the rubber, yeah, I think it's the rubber flap thing. So with folding bikes, one of the other things you got to consider is whenever you fold or unfold it, yeah, it got sucked up in the back, things can kind of get banged around a little bit. This bike doesn't come with like a rubber strap or Velcro or anything to kind of keep it in the folded position. So a lot of times when I'm packing it into a car or something like that, I'll bring an or like a towel, and that'll keep the frame from banging into itself and scratching. And if we come back over here, there we go. So we got the rubber flap taken care of. Let's do it again. We just ride for a minute here. Much quieter. And how tall are you, Alec?
About 6'3".
Okay. You know, he's looking pretty good for such a tall guy. That's sweet. Hey guys, we're back in the shop. This is their headquarters, Salt Lake City, Utah, and I just wanted to show you the gloss white with blue accents, how that looks. It's a nice step through. I think this one's the classic 48 right here. Looking really nice. One thing that their bikes don't have, the folding ones, is bottle cage bosses. So I wanted to point that out. It's a little bit of a compromise. This is my workstation over here, and here is the Premium X. Same thing, no bottle cage bosses, but you get a little trunk bag back here and put maybe a little bottle holster, or sometimes there's cup holders up here, but it can get a little bit tight because there's kind of a short reach. I want to compliment Magnum because you can see there's a little cutout on the seat tube, and then the collar, quick release collar, it goes in like this, so it doesn't actually make contact with or get in the way of that Silverfish battery. That's kind of nice because some of the other companies don't do that, and it's sort of hard to get it aligned. Okay guys, I think that's about it. It's been kind of an adventurous review, but such a beautiful day, a wonderful place to go riding. For the full written review, I'll see you back at electricbikereview.com, where there's like a little comparison tool. You can check this box and see like the differences between last year and this year, or between the Premium X and the Classic 48. Ride safe out there. Love you guys. Have fun. We'll see you next time.